are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Final score from Tennessee. Auburn takes the L 77-69. Let's talk about it right here inside the town.
The Auburn Express. You are now listening to the War Report Longtown Podcast. With your boy Ike Jones.
Lobtown, we are in here. Appreciate you guys stepping inside the town with me. Auburn takes the L to Tennessee 77-69. Not a great shooting night at all for the Auburn Tigers. Thank you, everybody who's jumping in here with me. Late night on a Saturday watching this game. I did not make the trip because of the weather, and it seemed like Auburn was also a little under the weather because they were not shooting the ball well at all. They went cold from the field. Temperatures outside matching Auburn's ability to knock down shots. But I like the fight you saw from Auburn in the second half, but just ultimately not enough. When Auburn closed that game to 3 points midway through the second half, then immediately gave up 6 straight buckets. 3 straight possessions wherein they stretched it back out to 9. That was ultimately what sunk the team. And it just felt like they had pressed, and then they relaxed right there at the moment in which they could have gone and really put some pressure on Tennessee to put this into a 1-point game or a tie game. The turnover by Tahad Pettiford, a couple of really goofy little situations there, and then Tennessee stretches it back out to 9, and Auburn really never got back into the game at that point in time. From then on, Gillespie goes out of the game, and they don't really do enough while he's out of the game, in my opinion, to take advantage of the primary ball handler for Tennessee being gone and one of the best scorers in the league. Keyshawn Hall, in my opinion, wasn't very good on either end of the floor for the vast majority of this game, though he led Auburn in points with 21. I don't think he played a particularly great game from just an efficiency standpoint. Very inefficient in this game, and I just didn't like what I saw from him on the defensive end either. So Auburn's got to go back to the drawing board, figure out how not going to have the midweek game this week. So they're going to have to figure out how to get that defensive intensity from the very beginning of the game. Because to me, I talked about them closing it to 3, but it shouldn't have even been there had they come out with the right sort of defensive intensity. And they just did not. Started the game very lackluster, very lackadaisical, and Tennessee never really, I don't think Tennessee trailed. I think Tennessee had the lead for the entirety of this game. It was never tied in this game. Auburn never really put pressure on Tennessee throughout the entirety of this game. They led. So not a great game from whistle to whistle for Auburn in this one. And they're going to have to do some soul searching to figure out how they're going to get back into the winning ways that they had. Hopefully this doesn't hurt everybody on this. They're a terrible team stuff again, but I know how fandom goes, and I understand that you can't help yourself. Sometimes you see him play poorly, then all of a sudden, I knew it was Stephen Pearl terrible. I don't think this was a poorly coached game. I think this was a very poorly executed game. The strategy that they had to try to make the bigs take shots from the middle of the floor, sound strategy. Those bigs stepped up and made some shots in those scenarios. They held the leading scorer Gillespie to only 11 points on 3 of 7 shooting. A lot of that was because he was in foul trouble and only played 29 minutes, and he's a guy that averages closer to 37 minutes a game. Understood there. But you get 22 points from Ament, the freshman who's been dynamic for them. And he got a lot of that really from the free throw line. Ament shot 15 free throws in this game and made 12 of them. So half of, or all but 10 of his points of production came from the free throw line. So just not a good job of keeping him off of the free throw line there. But overall, Tennessee only shot 44% from the field. So it wasn't a terrible defensive game from Auburn. Now, they did knock down 4 threes. I think all 4 of those threes came in the first half of the game, which was crazy. Auburn knocked down 7 threes, but had to take 21 3-pointers. 31. Oh, my God. They shot 31 threes in this game and hit 7. That is disgusting. Ugh. Yeah, we'll get in here and talk a little bit more about that. But again, if you're in here right now, please go ahead and share the content with somebody, no matter what social media platform you're watching us on. Go ahead and like the content, and we'll get into this and talk a little bit about it. I'm going to jump over here and get some of you all's chats in here. We appreciate everybody for jumping in here. Let's see. We'll roll it back up to the top. Riley, appreciate you early morning there in Germany. Crappy showing. Yeah, just early in the game didn't do well, and then closed the game kind of lackluster as well. Mr. Albee, when we closed within 3, we had a chance and lost it. Went back up to 9. I agree. See, Susan says it was sloppy. Definitely was. 10 turnovers in the game while forcing 15 is not terrible. It was really just the execution on offense and just a lot of poor shot selection, I think, that led to a lot of the bad situations for Auburn. Valencia says we came out sluggish, not the fire they had at Florida. Definitely was not the same kind of defensive intensity that you saw from Florida. Don't know what happened there. This looked more like the Missouri game Auburn than it looks like the Florida game Auburn. So got to do better there. Richard jumps in. Jovic and Hall needed a couple more touches, and we get the comeback. I don't know that Hall needed more touches. I think he just needed to be better with. He put up 17 shots. He had the most shot attempts from anybody on the team. He only made 7 of them. I don't think he took very good shots, particularly in the first half of that game. In terms of Jovic, he was 2 of 2 from the field, 4 of 8 from the free throw line. I do feel like Jovic is a guy who has opportunities to be spurty, but it's more so when he's got clear advantages on the interior. I don't know that more shots is the remedy for Jovic. I think he's just kind of has to get his in the flow of the game. And he wasn't doing anything. Like, he honestly played not great in the first half. And the effort and energy kicked up towards the end of the first half, going on into the second half, which made him more impactful when he was out there. But early in the game, he was not looking very good at all. I do agree with this. Overton getting hurt definitely put a damper on Auburn's ability to really come back in this game, because he's a very key piece in terms of how he defends. The problem with Overton was he wasn't shooting the ball very well, but you do want his defensive intensity out there. I do think that put a damper on Auburn's ability to come back in this game. Mr. Albee, Ament went 4-16 from the floor and still had 23 points. It's the free throw line, man. Free throw line is what allowed him to do that. Defensive rebounding, says Lawrence, was atrocious. This is what Tennessee does, right? This is how they beat you. I don't think, if I'm looking at this game on the stat sheet, Auburn got hammered on the glass, and you're going to say, oh man, if Auburn was able to do better on the glass, they probably win this game. Honestly, I think you can have the exact same performance that you had on the defensive glass, and you win this game if you just shoot better from the field. 38% from the field, 7 of 31 from 3. If you just knock down, which they had a lot of open shots that they missed. If you just knock down open shots in this game, you win, or it's a lot closer. And your defensive and rebounding effort can be exactly the same. They just gotta make shots, man. They're not very good offensively right now. And it's been spurty, right? Like, you have that last game where KO was hitting 5 threes and K Hall comes out crazy in the second half. He went crazy first half versus Florida. When you don't have those guys having those amazing nights from the field, that's what you get from the rest of this team. So they've got to find a way to be better on the offensive end more consistently, because 38% and 23% from free throw and 70% from the free throw, that's just not going to win you a lot of games. It's just not. So you've got to, and I've said this plenty of times, if you are a small ball basketball team, which this Auburn team is, you win basketball games by being able to knock down outside shots and get out in transition. Points, fast break points, Auburn only had 9 of them. So of the 15 forced turnovers that Auburn had, they were only able to get out and get 9. They had 9 steals, 9 steals and 9 fast break points. No, that's not a recipe for a small ball team, right? You need to have, of the steals that you have, you need to be converting at least twice as many points. They should have at least 18 fast break points with 9 steals. You got to get out in transition, at least 18. You really want to be able to get more than that because you get a couple of and ones on that. So you really them only having 9 fast break points is not the recipe. Going against Tennessee's set defense was never going to be the recipe here. Or when you're going against the set defense, you've got to shoot a better percentage from 3. That's got to be your recipe. You're not going to win the glass every game, especially not against a team like Tennessee that's top 5 in the country in rebounding. You want to be closer than what you were, but that's not the recipe for success for Auburn, and they did not follow that recipe today. Let's see here. Mr. Albee says, man, Tennessee was double dribbling and traveling all night. I'm not going to complain about the officiating because I don't think Auburn lost this game because of officiating, but it wasn't very good. Was not very good tonight at all. Let's see here. Sorry for everybody who's not Green Name. I do prioritize Green Name gang in the chat. So going to shoot threes and then playing from behind. But 31 is half of their total shots. Must work on that. Yeah, so 63 shots and they took 31 threes. It's just way too many. It's only shoot 23%. Way too many, man. Ike, how can we improve shot selection in the future if we're only using 7-man rotation? Shot selection isn't necessarily about rotation, man. Like just stepping into. So this is something that Stephen Pearl talks about, and I don't think people understand what he means about what they consider to be a good shot and a bad shot, right? If you're going to shoot a shot, so on average, the shot clock is going to be around 25 seconds, right? When you're starting most of your possessions in the half court. You've got to, if you're going to take a shot in the first 10 seconds of that, meaning before it gets to 15 seconds on the clock, it needs to be a wide open look or a rhythm look, right? So it needs to either be wide open or very much rhythm. Too often Auburn was having the ball stuck, and this is going to be indicative. We're going to look at first half statistics. If we go and look at that, when they were playing terribly on offense, Auburn had 11 made baskets and let's see. Actually, the ratio wasn't bad. 11 made baskets and 5 assists. It felt as if a lot of what they were doing in the half court was coming off of isolations and just jacking up threes, right? And if you're not making threes, that produces silly looking offense. I just didn't like what they were doing from an offensive standpoint early in the game. And then later in the game, I felt like they needed to come back. So they relied on the 3 too much and they just weren't making them, man. So it's just like, it felt like a lot of desperation basketball when there didn't need to be desperation. You got 6 minutes left in the game. You don't have to hoist threes at that point in time. You just need scores. So shot selection is just about understanding where your advantages are and taking advantage of what they need to do. And it wasn't a good showing from them on the offensive side. Valencia asked, how many free throws did Auburn miss? Auburn was 14 of 20 from the free throw line for 70%, so 6 missed free throws. Tennessee missed 6 free throws. They just shot 31 of them. So both teams had the same number of free throw misses, just Tennessee went to the line way more times. So, and I don't think that is by virtue of poor officiating or lopsided officiating, even though if I was being a salty fan, I would say that I don't think the officiating was very good in this game. But again, I'm not going to blame that on the reason why Auburn lost this game. By and large, you lose this game because you shot poorly from the field. Tennessee fans in here, they got the right to come in here and brag. They're saying a bunch of stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, but hey, whatever. Auburn isn't a top 25 team. They're not ranked in the top 25. So yes, correct. I don't think anybody's calling them a top 25 team. So I'm not really sure why that dunk came there. Canlay, appreciate you jumping in, giving away some more War Report memberships. Let's get to some non-green name folks in here. Hall went away from driving to the rim this game. I have to wonder how much that hurt finger impacted what he was willing to do from a physicality standpoint. They pointed it out a billion times in the game. I have to wonder if that impacted his jump shot. And he didn't look like himself in this game. So I do wonder whether or not that was a portion of what was happening there. Let's see here. Professor Vader, can we assume we're done with Magwood? What about the young kid who was shooting threes in earlier games? You're talking about um why does I we just talked about this a minute ago. And his name, I'm blanking on his name again, but I assume they are done with Magwood. I don't know why. Simon Walker is who you're talking about. The problem with Simon Walker is he's not very good defensively. And so when you are a team that needs offense, I don't know that you can trade that unless he's just going to be automatic. I don't know that you can trade good shooting for poor defense. You can trade good shooting for like less than like so Berman, for instance, right? Like Berman was a guy who could come in for Auburn and he could shoot the three, right? And that's what you wanted him to come in the game and do. But he's going to give you really good effort on defense, even if he wasn't the best defender in the world. Simon Walker just has not shown the ability to defend well enough for them. Like this team needs to play good defense to win games. So until he's able to do that, I don't know that he's going to see the floor very much. And I guess the hope is Bashir is going to be able to get back and get healthy. I don't know what his status is. So, see here. G Curry says flip side, if they hit 10 of 31, they win. Yeah, an additional 3. And see, this is what I'm saying. Most of the problem is you just didn't make shots that were makeable. It wasn't, oh, Tennessee played this amazing game. Yeah, you got brutalized on the board. All of that's true. You shoot the ball better from opportunities that you had that were open. You knock down more open shots. You take less bad shots, and you win this basketball game. This comes down to me to how poorly you shot the basketball and not much else. Like we can analyze all the other stuff about the boards. I think lackluster defensive effort early, getting Tennessee out to an early lead, and then poor shot selection / inability to make open shots is really what this distills down to for Auburn for the vast majority of this. Wesley, there was no way the game plan dictated 31 3-point attempts. I agree. I agree. So again, I don't think this is a poor coaching. I think this is bad shot selection from guys out there on the floor. Valencia echoing or saying, I don't know if she said this before I said it, but yes, lost the game with the shot selection and playing sluggishly. I agree. Good shooting and poor defense is Alabama. That's true. But Auburn is supposed to be decent shooting and good defense, and they were poor shooting and moments of good defense. I don't think and again, if you were in here and Green Name Gang can back me up, I don't think I said good defensive possession 10 times tonight, right? Tennessee had a total of 63 possessions. I don't think I said, oh man, that's a good defensive possession 10 times. So when you're being that, like, again, the identity of this team has been in this win streak has been tough-minded defense. When I don't feel like you're giving multiple efforts and really making them work for it on defense, but under 15 times in a game in which they had almost 70%, it's just not going to get it done, bro. It's not. Way too many times early in this game, Tennessee just got completely uncontested shots just off of poor rotation and communication from Auburn. Just terrible. Let's see here. Sloan says Tahad just kept jacking up threes and missing 2 or 3 in a row. At the end of the game, he was supposed to take those threes. He just needs to make them. Early in the game, he had a couple of threes that were like rattling in and out. I don't think Tahad. Let's see. Tahad Pettiford was 4 of 14 of this game, 2 of 11 from 3. Took a lot of threes in this game. So 11 of the 31 threes came from Tahad. I'm trying to remember of the 3-point shots that Tahad took, which of them I felt like were bad shots. Like, I don't think Tahad took a bunch of bad shots. I just don't think he was making them. It's just like he was short on a lot of them. Like, I just don't think I don't know what's up with his rhythm. Like again, he had a bad turnover in this game. but I don't remember a lot of bad shots from him. I just remember him not making them. So though he was shooting them, it's one of those things where it's like, man, you got to take them if they're open. So maybe you defer some of those and maybe get downhill on some of them. But I just don't feel like, man, what does Tahad do? I feel like Kevin Overton he had 7 threes in this game. He made the 1 3 at the end of the half. I feel like of the 7 threes that he took, only 2 of them were good. Todd took 11, and I can't remember a single one of them where I was like, "Yo, what is he doing, bro? Like, why are you taking that shot?" Um, Hall was 3 of 9 from 3. I really only feel like he took 3 or 4 good ones. Like, he missed maybe 2 of them where I was like, "Oh, that's a good shot. He should make that one." The rest of them, the other 4 threes he took, I didn't think were very good. So, I don't know. I again, like, it was just a game where they just did not shoot the ball particularly well. And conversely, Tennessee didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I don't remember Tennessee missing a lot of open shots, though. Most of the shots that Tennessee missed were shots that were contested and decent defensive possessions for Auburn, or shots that you just don't expect them to make, even if they're open. Those aren't that guy's shot, and that's the shot Auburn wanted you to take, right? So I don't feel like, oh man, Tennessee missed a bunch of gimmies and like they made most of their open looks. Auburn did not, and that to me is the difference in this game. All right, let's get down and talk a little bit about some more performances here. Appreciate again everybody for jumping in here with me. Let's get granular on the Auburn side of this, and we'll get you guys out of here. Again, there's not a single player for Auburn who had a positive plus minus. Philip Jovich is the only person who broke even on the plus minus, which kind of goes to kind of what I feel like was the duality of his game. Didn't have a great first half, had a much better second half. In fact, let me look at the split box here. First half for Jovich actually doesn't show me plus minus by half. Half comparisons, maybe. Will it show me that? It won't. All right. Anyway, so he was the only guy even on the plus minus. Every other player for Auburn had a negative plus minus, which kind of shows you that there wasn't really a combination of guys out there on the floor that were impacting winning in a really great way for Auburn. I ain't gonna hold you. I like the fact that Blake is able to give Tahad Pettiford some rest at points in this game. Tahad went 35 minutes in this game. Again, another game where he's over 33 minutes, which I think the sweet spot for him is 33. But man, I'm tired of looking at box scores with Blake on them where it's zeros on everything except for fouls. Like you got to contribute something, my boy. A steal, a rebound, an assist, a free throw, like zeros across the board, man. Come on, bro. Something besides fouls. Jesus. Yeah, Tahad had 11 in this game. Hall had 21. Sway played a decent game. There were a couple of possessions I didn't like from him. He and Jovich, I think, were the only guys when I go back and look at this game. Murphy had some good moments, but I think when I go back and look at this game, I can feel like I had more good moments from those two guys than I had from anybody else. I feel like everybody else, for the most part, didn't feel like they played a good game. I don't think Tahad had a poor shooting night. I don't think he had an overall bad game. He had 7 assists and only 2 turnovers in this game, right? So he got to figure out how to get the shots to drop, but I feel like Tahad actually did his job for the most part in this game. He played good defense. He had a couple of calls on him defensively that were foul calls. I was just like, yo, I don't even know what the ref is looking at here. Only had 3 fouls in the game. One of them for sure was absolutely not a foul. The other one was questionable on the closeout of the 3, whether or not he was in the landing space. And then another actual foul. But he needs to find his offense again, because 7 assists and 2 turnovers is an amazing game for your point guard, but 2 of 11 from 3 washes all of that out in most people's minds in 35 minutes of play. So he's got to figure that out for sure. And he had 3 rebounds, and a steal, right? So 7 and the 7-to-2 ratio assist to turnover is exactly what you want from your point guard, but somebody else has to take up the slack if he's not going to be the scorer, and you just didn't get enough from those other guys. But I do like that assist to turnover ratio there for Tahad. Again, Keyshawn Hall from the field, 7 of 11, 3 of 9 from 3, 4 or 5 from the free throw line for 21 points. He had 4 rebounds. Your leading rebounders in this game, Keyshawn Murphy with 7 and Philip Jovic with 7. Again, second half, Philip Jovic on the boards. Amazing job and effort from him out there. He did have 2 turnovers in this game. And I think both of those turnovers were pretty bad on his part. Key Hall only had 2 turnovers in this game, but he only had 2 assists. And then everybody else's turnover ratio was either even or negative. You had 1 from Sway, who had an assist as well. And then Kevin Overton had 2 turnovers with no assists. Only scored on 46.3% of their possessions. That's not good. Again, never had a lead in this game. Credit to Tennessee defensively, though, of doing, and this is, again, if you guys watched my preview of this, I said Auburn's going to have to shoot threes well in this game in order to win, because Tennessee is going to force you to not get easy looks in the paint. They're going to come into the, like when you get to the paint, they're going to hedge down on that, and they're going to stop the dribble penetration and force you to kick it out. You've got to knock down those shots. So those shots are going to be available versus Tennessee. If you're not shooting them at a good percentage, you don't have a prayer beating this Tennessee team, because they're just not going to give up a bunch of easy buckets. So credit to Tennessee for forcing Auburn into a lot of these threes, but bad on Auburn for not making them, because I don't see a lot of 3-point shots from guys who can't make threes, right? 11 of them from Tahad, 7 of them from Kevin Overton, 9 from Keyshawn Hall, 4 for Elijah Freeman. Nobody else took a 3-point shot in this game. You didn't get a Murphy jack up in this one. You didn't get a Sway jack up in this one. Blake Muselik didn't shoot the ball at all, and you didn't get a jacked up 3 from Philip Jovic. So the guys you want to shoot threes were shooting them at a terrible percentage. Auburn's just got to be better than that, man. But again, that I give props to Tennessee in the way in which they defended, and then you've got to give props to them for being good and making sure that Auburn didn't get a lot of offensive boards in this one as well, so they didn't get second chance opportunities, because that's really another way in which Auburn hurts teams. They got 12 offensive rebounds in this one. Second chance points was 15, so they actually won second chance points despite losing the offensive board battle. But Tennessee having 29 defensive boards really it's another big difference in this game, because you hold Auburn to the one shot opportunity a lot of the times down the floor. All right, I'm gonna get over here into the comment section one more time, and I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. Thank you all again for jumping in here with me on a late night talking a little Auburn basketball. O'Reilly says Magwood needs to play. I agree, but you've got to have the trust from the coaches there in order for that to happen. I'm not going to say he should give him another chance. Professor Vader says he should give Magwood another chance. Like, I think your standard needs to be your standard. And if you start giving passes on your standard, then what kind of program are you going to have, right? Like I don't know what all he did to say whether or not he deserves another chance, or how, like, I don't know enough about the situation. So I'm going to stand firm with the coach holding to his standard. Let's see here. I wish Howard was there now. He got rebounds. Ja'Kai Howard gave you a lot of energy, a lot of athleticism. I don't know that this team necessarily needs Ja'Kai Howard. They need Elijah Freeman, who is built athletically. He's not as electric as Ja'Kai Howard is, and definitely not as confident a scorer, because Ja'Kai Howard ain't had no problems putting shots up. But I think you need Elijah Freeman to give you that athleticism and going and getting those boards the way Ja'Kai Howard did. You've got a guy in that same build, just go be him. Hell, 35 minutes of play every game is not sustainable. I agree with you 100%. Lawrence, Tahad needs to look to score without taking the 3. Tournament Tahad was a mid-range assassin. I agree with this as well, but I think the difference here for Tahad is because he's playing point guard a lot, he's not getting the same kind of looks. And that's why you needed, to go back to the point about Magwood, they were playing some minutes where both of them were on the floor, allowing Tahad to come off the ball. And I think you need that opportunity. So maybe they need to explore letting Overton bring the ball up and let Tahad come off the ball a little bit. I don't know. I think they do need to find ways for Tahad to be a scorer at points and times in the game, as opposed to just being a facilitator, even though he's their only true facilitator that they have. Professor Vader says he misses Chad Baker. Listen, I'll say this. I've said this before. I don't know if I was on stream or not, but I have said this before. Chad Baker Mazara probably pushes this team into. I don't know that they lose a lot of it because he gives you so much defensively, and he's an additional guy who can play a big point guard, and you would be able to bring Tahad off of the floor more often or bring him off the ball more often. And he's going to be able to heat up from like he gives you everything that this team is missing. Another defensive wing, another true ball handler who can play the points, and another scorer that you can just get into some ISO ball. But you got to deal with all the other stuff that comes with it. I haven't been paying attention. Has he been getting in trouble over at USC? Like, I have no idea what the situation is with Chad over there right now. I haven't been paying attention to him. So somebody else can clue me in there. Professor Vader says he's killing it at USC. He's a ball player. So there you go. Canlay, appreciate you jumping in. Good night to you, my boy. War Eagle says, switch the roles on Tahad and let someone else do it. Who, though? That's the question. Who's going to be the guy if it's not Tahad? So, yeah, I agree. Chad Baker Mazara changes this game. You probably don't even have Bashir on this team if Chad Baker Mazara is there. And I would take that swap because Bashir, first and foremost, Bashir's not playing, but that is a swap I take straight up every day. Bashir for CBM, and Valencia says, I think he's in trouble now. So there you go. So again, you have to deal with the other stuff that comes along with it. Is it something that you want to be able to have to deal with a new team with a lot of like, how disruptive is that? I don't know. I have no idea what the answer to that question is because he's not there. So it kind of is what it is. Anyway, that's it, man. I'm going to get out of here. Thank y'all so much for jumping in here with me today. We'll be back with the weekend tailgate tomorrow, live streaming for y'all. We'll talk a little bit more football, maybe a little bit of basketball. But I appreciate everybody for being in here live with me. Next game for Auburn basketball is next weekend, Iron Bowl there in Auburn. So make sure y'all tap in there. The women play versus Ole Miss Monday here in Birmingham. So you know your boy going to be live with that one at the game. But I'm out of here. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're over on some other platform other than YouTube, make sure you come over to the YouTube, subscribe over here. We appreciate that, and we love the interaction over here. Green Name Gang, great live stream with y'all today. I'm out of here. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle. Peace.